Today we're talking about no guts, no glory. Actually, I lie. We're talking about the three principles that are really key to me in my program here, the C10. I call it C10 method. Um, and it took me quite a while to get here, though. But when finally did, it just clicked and made a lot of sense. And this is what I've seen the most long term, not just short term success and medium term success, but long term growth and success with. And it's been, we're starting. If you imagine three targets or three circles, the inner circle is a focus on gut health, learning how to eat. And then the second circle outside of that is breath, connecting the mind and the body. And then the next one is movement, right? And I found that in going with that as a general principle, I was able to develop three 12-week courses that focus on those three things: the gut, the breath, and the movement. And that's how I progress my clients from first we focus on one, then we go to the other, and then we go to the other. Obviously, there are overlaps, right? There are overlaps with that. But in having that being the general theme, I've seen a lot of long-term sustainable growth and progress with folks, including first and foremost myself. And so I wanted to touch on that a little bit as to why that's important. And we're going to definitely make sure we clip this value add here because it's going to come a lot of value at you. You know what I mean? Definitely want to grab some pen and pencils, a little pen going on there because yes, sir. Yes, sir. A lot of value coming out of this one right here. And imagine Fireman Wayne, you know what I'm saying, coming out if you are a hip hop consumer. So starting with the inner circle, gut. So why would we focus on gut first? Let me give you all a little few things to chew on. All right. The average adult has about 5 to 10 pounds of toxic poop or stool, if you want to sound a little bit more proper, right, in their body, rotting away there in their intestines and colon. Research suggests that most people have about 8 undigested meals in their gut at any given moment. Colon disease is on the rise, and new guidelines lower the screening age from 50 to 45 because it's been such a problem. And most of the waste contains chemicals that your body has rejected for some reason or another, and it couldn't flush it out. Now, as that stuff starts to build out, we get the feeling of being bloated, backed up, carrying extra weight around our belly, the midsection, excessive fatigue, weight gain, slow digestion, IBS, leaky gut syndrome. I can keep going. Constipation, diarrhea, eczema, acne, psoriasis, brain fog, focus, attention issues, migraine, anxiety, depression. Woo! Yeah, all of that. And if you're not producing well-formed stool after each meal, what you have to understand that you're most likely already suffering from this, and you're probably blaming it on something else. And if you're not already there, you will probably have hardened stuff. Let's call it stuff and make it a little bit more appealing, right? Hardened stuff in your intestinal walls, right? Just Google a picture of say the word for me, bro.
Diverticulitis.
Diverticulitis. Thank you. The tongue sometimes won't let it happen, right? So this is really taxing our digestive system, our immune system, and our overall health, right? It messes, and the part that I don't emphasize sometimes is that it also messes with our hormones, right? Which in turn messes with how our body processes and craves things like sugar. And it affects how our blood level sugar operates or how it functions, right? And thus affects how our body stores fat, typically around the belly. So if you're having issues getting rid of stuff like that, consider that you're probably in this boat. Now, white coats or doctors from Yale, Harvard, MIT all agree with the father of Western medicine, Hippocrates, who says that all sickness originates from the gut. They now agree, right? So thank goodness, right? And the thing that I always tell folks is that some may never work out. Others may never think about how they breathe, like ever in their whole life. But They will never, ever, ever forget to eat a meal. That's why I start my clients with gut. And that's why I believe it's important to emphasize gut first. And then we move on to an emphasis on breath. It doesn't mean we forget gut. It doesn't mean we don't touch movement, but the second stage is an emphasis on breath. And why is that? Because oxygen is the primary nutrient. The primary nutrient. And if you don't believe me, try holding your breath underwater for 10 minutes. Please don't try that. We take 25,000.
Please don't try that.
Please don't try that.
Do not repeat this at home.
Right.
Just believe me. Just believe me. 25,900 breaths a day. That's what we take. So breathing efficiently is key. And the state of mind affects our quality of breath. But our quality of breath also affects our state of mind. Right?
Amen.
Fear cuts out breath. Think about Monsters, Inc. Right? When you're scared, you jump up, right? And your breath cuts off. And we also know that trauma is stored in the body. Check, reference, the body keeps the score. We also know that nasal breathing, simply switching from mouth breathing to nasal breathing, has a huge impact, again, on hormones and hormonal balance, right? And actually changes, and this will be a question for us later, and actually changes your facial structure and your sex appeal, my friends. Huge impact, right? Breath is the core of movement. I've boiled this down before in the show. And think about it in terms of expansion and elongation, plus minus. That is essentially the essence or the core of movement and posture, for that matter. So incredibly important. And breath, and then we get into the movement piece a bit here, and kind of, again, overlaps a bit. But breath is spirit, and spirit is breath. That is literally what it means. And it unites or brings together mind and body. All right. So then we get into movement, the third, and this is typically where people start. People try to start here. People try to start a movement. That's where they want to go. That's where all the quote unquote sexy stuff is. Right. And, we know that movement is extremely important for an enjoyable life. A body in motion stays in motion. So movement efficiently is key. Most experience a sense of not being in their body, generally speaking. That's how we walk around, typically speaking. But the key, or one of the keys to health at this level, is to health and beauty and happiness really comes down to simply moving with intention. And that's the focus on the movement realm, right? So those are the three sort of starting inner gut. And please do not go to movement without taking control of your gut and I'm not just talking about the poop aspect, I'm talking about also then through that program, that's when we learn or teach how to eat, how to consume, right? Not just what to, but how to consume. Then we move on to the breath, and then we move on to the movement. And by that point in time, you are well equipped to go out there and slay and design a life that you don't need a break from. And that's what it's all about, ladies and gents.
You get that clear gut, you get that clear breathing, you get that clarity in mind, you may be making better long-term decisions and less short-term impulsive ones.
Medical bills are right there. Definitely going to be one of the top things that you're going to spend money on in your entire life, but not if you're healthy.
I want to do a quick yay or nay. We are stressed because we think too much.
Overthinking just applies a lot of extra unnecessary pressure and takes you out of flow state.
We have anxiety because we don't breathe well.
I've heard that the way to get rid of the anxiety is deep breaths or focusing on your breathing. So then I would say yay that it comes from that as well.
25,900 breaths a day. That's what we take.
Back in my day, man, it was 27 inches of snow and I had to walk all the way and shovel it back, and right, like they were doing physical things that they didn't need a gym.
Some may never work out. Others may never think about how they breathe, like ever in their whole life. But they will never, ever, ever forget to eat a meal. That's why I start my clients with gut.
Welcome to the good life.